There's no denying that Paris is a beautiful city. Over 30 million people visit each year. But would Paris be a travel destination if you were visually impaired? When many people think of Paris, they picture things like the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, and the Mona Lisa. But what if you weren't able to see these things? What if you weren't able to see anything? Because we noticed a relatively large amount of visually impaired individuals in the city, we wanted to know what it would be like to be a visually impaired tourist in Paris. With this in mind, we set out to answer the question, is Paris a good destination for visually impaired tourists?
I think you can do it. Vous pouvez le faire en bus parce que évidemment c'est pas la même chose, mais en bus vous avez quand même les explications audio. Vous pouvez entendre absolument tout, toutes les explications à propos de Paris. Donc le bus c'est l'open tour qui visite la totalité de Paris, du nord au sud et d'est en ouest. Et chaque fois que vous allez passer devant quelque chose d'intéressant, vous aurez un commentateur qui vous expliquera.
Each member of the group was blindfolded and led by another member to a place they had never been before. Their experiences at Notre Dame, Père Lachaise Cemetery, the top of the Eiffel Tower, and the Jardin du Luxembourg were documented through footage and interviews. The FAF was formed in 1987 and has 131 different bureaus in France. It is the #1 foundation in financing research in the field of ophthalmology. The EBU was founded in 1984 and is part of the World Blind Union. It consists of 45 different member states with its headquarters in Paris. The EBU works on anything that may come up in another member state that has any impact on blind or partially sighted people.
In 2 months, there will be a project called intergenerations.eu on the web, which is going to be finished, and it's well marked by the European Commission, so I guess it will be enjoyed by a lot of European visually impaired.
Donc effectivement des plans adaptés, de grand format, personnes qui ont du mal à lire. Et également un partenariat entre la RATP et les associations de malvoyants et de non-voyants de façon à traduire en braille ou à numériser les plans de façon à ce que les personnes puissent repérer à l'avance le trajet qu'ils ont à effectuer.
The metro serves as Paris's major transportation system. Carrying over 4.5 million passengers a day, it is one of the densest networks in the world. It has been said that every building in Paris is within 0.3 of a mile of a metro station. We chose to travel by metro in our experiment not only because of its important role in Paris culture, but also because a visually impaired resident of the city said the metro system and the convenience it provides is what makes Paris so great.
Because there is a lot of subway, and I can go everywhere.
While being blindfolded on the metro, 4 major things were most difficult. We seemed to be oversensitive to crowding, creating paranoia and a more uncomfortable commute. The gap between the platform and the metro was a difficult obstacle which varied in size from station to station. Locating the Navigo sensor and proceeding through turnstiles was also a challenge while being blindfolded. Finally, pinpointing our location was made most difficult by the inconsistency in the announcing of the metro stops.
Attention à la marche en descendant du train.
In order to better understand stop announcement on the metro, a log was kept for 10 days of all metro use. The line, total stops, stops announced, and time of day were all recorded for each metro travel. 83% of the stops on Metro Line 1 were announced. 65% of the stops on the RERB were announced, and finally, 58% of the stops overall were announced. In an analysis of the time of day and the metro stop announcement, the likelihood of a stop being announced increased as the morning progressed, peaking midday. This was followed by a trend of decreasing announcement into the evening hours.
Going to the top of the Eiffel Tower, the 3 things I noticed most were I was more sensitive to sounds around me, my perception of height was off, and I wasn't able to tell who was around me all the time.
At the Gardens of Luxembourg, I noticed most the change in terrain, fresh air, and changes from sunny areas to shaded areas.
At the Père Lachaise Cemetery, the things I noticed most were the fresh air, the uneven cobblestones, and the shady, hilly terrain.
The three things I noticed was the speed that I walked at, the smell of the metro, and how loud Mass was at the Notre Dame.
To better enhance the experience, leaders gave detailed descriptions of certain sites, monuments, or views.
This one looks like a queen bed, and it's white, and there's 2 pillars, and it all has like Chinese symboling on it, and 2 little baby lions. So you really
He's wearing all copper brown, and he has like leaves all over him, and then his face is like shiny green, and he has a hat that's brown with like flowers on him. They're like brownish red flowers, like kind of like he's dipped in copper paint.
Overall, we found that visiting the various locations without vision for the first time still created unique new experiences. Things such as the environment, terrain, smells, and sounds were noticed most and contributed to the overall enjoyability.
Monuments or places to visit are labeled, so you can know before if it's accessible or not for different disabilities, especially for blind people.
In order to display the label, specific criteria must be met, including Braille materials and accessible restrooms, along with extensive assessment by the French government. Labeled museums include the Museum of Wine, the Louvre, Musée d'Orsay, and Cité Museum of Science and Industry. Cité Museum of Science and Industry also provides extra accommodations, including 3D tactile maps and a special rumble path to provide easier mobility for the visually impaired.
The metro, perhaps you have seen a special path. Yes, you will see that. 4 feet and yellow in the middle too. Have you seen that?
Tactile and audio exhibits are also available to make museums more enjoyable for those with visual impairments. Such exhibits are offered at the Louvre, Musée d'Orsay, and the Museum of Victor Hugo. Paris is also home to the Braille Museum and the Tomb of Louis Braille, located at the Pantheon, providing even more attraction for the visually impaired. Finally, Paris is working to make its streets more accommodating by installing audible crosswalks. By pressing a button, the crosswalk provides alerts when it is safe to cross the street.
Rouge piéton, rue du Faubourg Saint-Antoine.
It's difficult to be on the metro in Paris blind because...
Do you see any blind people, like when you're traveling on the metro?
Not that much. Not that much at all. So I believe that take the bus might be easier to take the bus than the metro.
After experiencing Paris without vision, we feel that the many available accommodations and resources available in the city make it an excellent destination for visually impaired tourists. Though struggles do exist, metro transportation is favorable and improving. Through interviews with visually impaired individuals and Parisians alike, we found that more peaceful locations such as gardens and fountains, and also smaller museums with exceptional audio tours, seem to be favorite locations.
Mais il m'a coupé la parole.
Well, I suppose so. Not big, of course, but because there is a sort of quietness and, well, people are in the park are very calm and well. And there is also an atmosphere from the trees, all the surrounding.
I like it because in the Victor Hugo book, there is a very good description of Notre Dame. And when I go to Notre Dame, I remember when I read
The place I really like in Paris, I think, is approximately the place we are in right now. That's to say, the place that is called Le Marais, and it's maybe you know it already. Maybe you crossed it. Never. You know, it's when you go out of this shop. You take the street that is just you just cross the street. You go straight forward, and then you come to you reach the place that is called Le Marais, and it's little streets and it's a little village with a lot of shops, and it's the place where gay people are and Jewish people, and it's a place where there are a lot of little shops with paintings and furniture and all that. It's an artistic place, if you... Well, it's the place I like, in fact, I think.
Merci beaucoup.
No, you're welcome.
There's no denying that Paris is a beautiful city. However, its visual beauty is only a portion of what it has to offer. The vast history, atmosphere, taste, sounds, and new experiences all contribute to the appeal of Paris.
Il arrive en courant derrière.
To coming, yes.
You don't have to see the sights to go sightseeing.
Alors on